Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I have for you today 3 alternative cards for the December Paper Pumpkin Kit, which is called All the Best. If you're like me, the holidays were a little crazy, and so I didn't get to do my alternatives sooner, but hopefully you're just getting to your kit and these alternatives will help you. I did 3 alternatives, like I said, and I kind of sneaked the third one in. I was only planning on 2. But using 2 sets of the card bases, so 6 card bases, I came up with 15 cards for you to make, just using some basic white cardstock for some extra card, for most of the card, all of the card bases, and a little extra balmy blue cardstock. And using those things, you can get 15 cards out of 6 card bases. So let's get started. Okay, first let's take a quick look at the kit, which is called All the Best. It comes with a pebbled path Stampin' Spot, and the stamp set has several sentiments and also several flowers, 2 that are the same of the really small ones and then 2 other ones. And then, as always, you get a flyer that tells you how to put the cards together as they come, as is suggested with the kit. This one actually also comes with a little box that you can put the cards in if you want to gift them to someone after you're all done. And as always, on the back, it shows you the components. And as I say every month, remember to check that, because if something is missing and you contact Stampin' Up! Right away, they can make it right. All right, let's get started with the first card. For the first card, I'm going to actually show you 2 very similar alternatives that I did. The first one uses a component of the kit, and there are only 3 of them. But I did some embossing with one of the stamps, that largest flower stamp that comes with the kit. And so by doing that, you can make more cards. There are also 3 balmy blue card bases. And as usual, I cut mine apart so that I could use them. Let me grab one so I can show you. The card in the kit actually looks like this, and I cut it apart so that I could use the back side as the front side of this card. And then this one obviously will be a card front for another card. Typically, I just put them on a whisper white or a basic white card base, and that seems to be the best way to go. The only other thing I wanted to point out is that you can see that this is much lighter than this one. Well, this was the first card I designed, and as I was stamping, I realized that my balmy blue ink pad needed re-inking. So I re-inked it, and then this is the result. And I do like the softness of this. So if you like it too, if you want a more subtle look, all you have to do is stamp off. And by that I mean you ink up your stamp, then you stamp it on a scrap piece of paper first, and without re-inking, then you go to your card. So it's also called second generation stamping, and it gives you that lighter look. So if you want to do that, that's the way to go. But we are going to do this card just so that I can show you, and I'll just mention the slight differences at the end. So this is the card we're going to do today, and I am, like I usually do, I'm starting with a basic white card base. And do you love my new setting here to make cards? This is the free gift that you can get if you join Stampin' Up! During celebration, so in January or February, starting on the 4th of January. So very exciting. I love this. It comes with a mat. Let me show you. It's wonderful. It sits right on here, and it's very much non-slip. You can put ink spots in there, so that pebbled path ink spot will fit. To just sit it in there at your workspace. And you can also use these for different inks if you're doing watercoloring, or you can put embellishments, all sorts of things, because this is so non-slip. I love it. If you sign up to be a demonstrator during January or February, you can choose this, or you can choose an extra $30 in your kit. And it also comes with a chamois. As you can see, I haven't even opened it yet, but it wipes up the surface so we can emboss. We can use ink on here, and then we just use the chamois to wipe it up, which is great. So a little commercial for that. If you're interested in joining my team, Inky Fingers Equal Happy Hearts, contact me. I would love to have you join. Okay, but back to our card. Let's get that little schmutz off of there. And I did cut that balmy blue card base, the back of it, from that one card. So we're going to put that on right away with some multi-purpose liquid glue. Make sure it's straight. And so that's all ready to go. And actually, I already made a mistake. I stamped that before I put it on, but that's okay. It's not going to matter. We're going to bring in a scrap. And actually, I could do it right on this, but old habits die hard. I am going to bring in a scrap. So I'm going to open, well, I guess I'll leave it like this. So what I'm going to do first actually is the embossing, because I think it makes sense to do that first on this card. If you make the card just with components of the kit, like I said, you just grab one of these flowers from the kit and then you don't need to emboss. But I wanted to show you how to do that so you could make extras if you want to. So I've got my Versamark ink and that largest flower stamp from the set. Oh, that's right, and before I even do that, I'm gonna take my embossing buddy. I like to do this. Sometimes I forget, like I almost did today, but just wipe that little area where you're going to emboss because it gets rid of the static, and so then you don't get stray pieces of the embossing powder where you don't want them. All right, and then we're going to stamp with the Versamark, and I know you probably can't see it, but it is there. Then I'm gonna bring in my tray with my gold embossing powder. And we're going to put it right on that flower. And then get it right back in there. Always flick it because it gets the extra pieces off. But if they don't all come off, if there are strays, you can use the brush that comes with the kit and just wipe them off. But this looks pretty good. That is the advantage of using that embossing buddy first and getting rid of the static. And then because I can, because of this wonderful surface, I'm going to do my embossing right here. So let me grab my heat tool, and it will just take a second, oops, to heat this up. And I could not do this on my previous surface because it was laminated and it would melt. I would have to hold it pretty far away. Ooh, I love it when the magic happens. And you see that gold coming in. Make sure I've got every little bit. There we go. And there we go. And once you see that it's all gold, then you know it's finished. So now we're going to do some stamping on this too with our Balmy Blue ink pad. So let's get rid of the Versamark. And I've got my nice re-inked Balmy Blue. And I am going to bring in that scrap again because that's really what we need it for. You can see it's well loved. I was working on another project. So we're going to grab that same stamp. I have cleaned it so the Versamark is off. And I'm going to randomly stamp. And I know that the middle part is not going to be shown or seen, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. But I definitely want to make sure that the big flowers are, let's do one maybe like this. And maybe just the top here. Okay, now we're going to take the next smallest flower because it makes sense to go from largest to smallest. And we'll fill in with some of that, changing the kind of the angle all around. And again, these might not, well, they probably won't be seen. We'll put one up here and another one here. And just randomly, another one here, I think. Then, last but not least, we have the smallest flower. Let's get some good ink on that. And basically, I'm just going to fill in the spaces all the way around. Maybe one here. And one here. And we'll see how that looks. I think that's probably going to be okay. But actually, while we have the ink out, we're going to also stamp the sentiment. I'm going to bring in my other components. I use the Stylish Shapes dies to cut out. These come from another card base. And let me see if I have that so I can show you. They come from another card base, and I've already cut all of them out, but I can show you probably in the brochure which one it is, just in case you are not sure. And it is the one that goes with this card. So let's see if they show it in here. It's this one. And so it's this is just the the front, but the back looks the same too. So I opened up the card, and by doing that, I could punch out 2 of these and 2 of these with those stylish shapes dies, or cut them out. And then I used the gold foil sheets to cut out one. So this is the largest of the square stylish shapes dies, the next largest, and the next largest after that. And this is a little scrap from the belly band that's supposed to go around the box. And as you can see, this is all we're going to use, probably not even the whole thing, because I'm going to show you how to get more mileage out of that band. Here's what's left of it. And I've already made both of those cards. And like I said, I'll show you what I mean and how we're going to do that. But the first thing we're going to do is stamp the sentiment on the piece of cardstock that we've got here that we cut out. Wishing you all the best. And then because there was a little room at the top, I took that small stamp. Man, I have a lot of stray ink today. It's not like me. We're going to stamp that right there. And we're also going to stamp the inside. And for that, I'm using that large flower again and the happy birthday sentiment that comes from a different stamp set. It comes from the Circle Saying stamp set. So I've got that mounted. I'll stamp the happy birthday. And then bring that large flower in one more time. And we're going to stamp it here. And I think I stamped it off. Yeah, I didn't use the whole stem. So I'm going to bring this in again. And we're just going to do like this. And so all of our stamping is done. Card comes together pretty quickly. It's easy to do multiples of them. And if I were to do multiples, I would do them in stages. The embossing first on all of them, then all of the stamping here, then all the sentiments, etc. Because I just find that easier and quicker. So next we're just going to finish the assembly. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Seal for that. I debated using dimensionals and then decided not to. And there's a reason for that too, which I'll show you because it involves this piece. So now all we have to do is cut this down. It's actually still larger than we need it. And I determined that 3/4 of an inch long is long enough to be able to tuck in behind the sentiment. So 3/4 of an inch. And then another 3/4 of an inch. So I will have a little waste here, but not too much. And I still have the rest of the belly band to use on the other cards, like I said. So, and that's the reason that I didn't use dimensionals on this piece, because once you tuck it in, if it were popped up, it would show more. I'll show you what I mean. I'll try to get this centered. Say that looks pretty good. And so then I'm going to take my seal one more time. And we're going to tuck it under like this. And kind of making sure that it's centered as much as possible. So it looks like we have that whole, a whole strip of that, but we don't. And like I said, you get so much more mileage out of that one belly band. I should easily be able to do the 6 cards that I can do. Tuck that under on this side and get it centered and to the edge. Come down a little bit so we make it even with the other one. Whoops, too much. I think that looks pretty good. And so then all we have left is the embellishment, and these beautiful balmy blue gems come with the kit. So I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool and scatter some of those around. And they give you a lot of these too, so it's nice to be able to make multiples of the cards. You've got plenty. And then we'll get another big one. And there you have it, card number 1. What do you think? So like I said, I have prepped to make 6 of them, 3 using the embossing and then 3 using the die cut from the kit. But you only have card fronts from 3 cards, or actually card backs that become card fronts that we stamped on today. And so then I just used, like this one is just a piece of balmy blue cardstock that I had in my stash. I think I'm going to add one more stamp right there. I feel like it's missing. Let me grab that balmy blue one more time. I meant to check that before I finalized it. I think maybe in a couple spots. I'm going to do, well, we're going to do one here, I think. And then I feel like it needs something here, but I don't know if I want to do that. I think I'm going to take the second largest flower, but I'm only going to ink up the flower part like this. Make sure you can see that. And then I'm going to stick it right in here. Oh yeah, I think that's perfect. So again, even after you're finished, if you're careful, you can add, but I meant to check before I finalized putting on the die cut to make sure that I was happy with the amount of stamping. All right, so there is card number 1. That's right, but before we complete it, let's do our envelope, because there are envelopes that come with the kit, but since we're making multiples of cards, we will not have enough envelope. So I decided I would use that same large flower to decorate the envelope. And I think we'll do it like this. We'll use the whole one this time. And so that is then your coordinating envelope. And let me show you also what I used to make the card in addition to what comes in the kit. The Circle Sayings stamp set, I used Happy Birthday. You could also use Thank You, and I just love the font in that set, so I decided to use that one. And the only other thing that I used that didn't come with the kit was the Stylish Shapes dies. Like I said, I used the squares, the 3 largest ones, but you could even use the circles. Lots of options there. Here is the second card that I designed. And I got the idea because I used strips from that same card base. So when I die cut the cardstock for this image and this one, I had the card base open and I die cut at each end. So the big square and the little square, the big square and the little square, and that gave me strips in the middle. And so that's what gave me the idea for this, the beginning of this card. So these are 1 1/4 inch strips, I believe. Yes, 1 1/4 inch. And so, as I'm using my mat here, by, of course, 5 1/2. So you just cut a strip out of the card base. They're the right length. You just need to know it's 1 1/4 inches wide. And that's what I used. So you can get 6 of these then from the card bases, 2 from each of the card bases. But the die cuts, and there are 6 of these. So yeah, I think you can make 6 cards. Oh no, it's the label that's the problem. There are 6 of these, there are 6 flowers, but there are only 4 labels. So you can get 4 cards, but if you wanted to, you could even use like a square from the Stylish Shapes dies and make a couple more, and then you'd be all set. You could make 6. So I may actually do that myself. So let's get started. As you can see, I've got a basic white card base. And we're going to put that strip on right away, that strip that we cut out. And I'm using my seal for this. I want to make sure there's good adhesive at each end. And then I'll add some in the middle. And I wanted the blue toward the top, which is the way, I believe that's the way the card base is designed, like that. And then we've got a label from the kit. Like I said, there are 4, but you could easily use a square from the Stylish Shapes dies to make a couple more. They just wouldn't have the gold edge. But you could probably take your Versamark pad and open it and basically wipe the edge of your square and then put embossing powder, and it wouldn't be, the lines wouldn't be quite as straight, but that might look cute too. I think I'm going to try that. But in any case, using what comes with the kit, I stamped Hello Friend, and I am going to need my scrap again, and I'll show you why. I've got my balmy blue ink, and we're going to ink it up and stamp in the middle but toward the left so we leave room for the flower. And then without re-inking, again, just like I showed you earlier, we're going to ink it one more time. Now we're going to ink, stamp off, and ink again here. And that's how we get the image for the die cut. Oh, and then while we have this, we're going to do the inside. And I used a sentiment, I can't thank you enough, from Perennial Postage, which is a new stamp set from the upcoming mini catalog that starts in just a couple of days. And so I used I Can't Thank You Enough, but we're going to use a different one. There are so many wonderful sentiments from this. I know you will get through this, here for you always. I almost used that, but we're going to use, what did I pick? You Mean the World to Me, I believe is what I think that's what I mounted. You Mean the World to Me. And so that's what we're going to use today. And so we're going to stamp that on the inside. And so then the other thing I did on the inside, we're done with the Balmy Blue, and we're going to bring in that wonderful flower again, that largest flower that comes with the kit. And this time we're going to use Stampin' Right markers, not blends, Stampin' Right markers. I've got Old Olive and Crushed Curry because those are the colors in that flower, and we're going to basically do another one. Bring it up here so I'm sure you can see it. And you just kind of carefully put your marker almost perpendicular to the stamp and just wipe it across. And then we'll do the same thing with the Old Olive on the stem and the leaves. And then we're just going to bring it in and stamp like this. And then I also did the same thing on the front left corner of the envelope. So now all we have to do is finish our assembly. And again, I didn't use dimensionals. You can, there are some that come with the kit, but I felt like I didn't necessarily want to pop up the sentiment, so I didn't do that. We're going to put this up at the top. And then I'm going to bring in the two other components of the kit that we're using. And you could use your glue dots for this, but I actually, since I have my seal handy, I'm just going to use that. And there are just a few glue dots that come with the kit because I think they're meant to maybe adhere the belly band or something. I don't know, but there are just 6 that come with the kit. And we'll put that over here. And then the same thing with the other flower spray. And then we're going to put this down here like this. And of course we have to have our bling. And I use the blue that come with the kit, but honestly they get a little lost. You can't see that they're blue. So instead I'm going to use the Iridescent Rhinestone Basic Jewels because I feel like, you know, the blue color, like I said, gets lost. So I'd rather use it where you can see it better. So I am going to do the same thing. I think I'll use the medium size though gem for the center of the bigger flower, and then the smaller gems for the centers of the other two. And that way I've got more blue gems to use on other cards. And that is it. That is card number 2. 2 quick and easy cards. I already showed you the stamp set that I use, the Perennial Postage and the rhinestones, and everything else comes from the kit. And I did want to show quickly, I talked in my video about adding some gold to the edge of a die cut, and I did try that, but I didn't like the way it came out. I couldn't get the edges crisp enough, and so it looked sort of sloppy. So what I did instead is I took my Crushed Curry ink pad and my sponge dauber, and I just inked around the edges of the die cut using the middle-sized die cut that we used from the first card. So the second largest one in the set, in the Stylish Shapes dies. I cut it out, and then I just inked around the edges with Crushed Curry using my sponge dauber. And that's what I did. Then the rest of the card is the same. So that is a way to get 6 cards out of that set instead of just 4. All right, after playing with the contents of the leftovers and trying to use the last card base. I came up with a third card, so here it is. Let's get rolling with that. So we are starting with a basic white card base, just like with the other two cards. And I've got the front half of the card base that we used for the first card. We used the plain balmy blue. That was the back half of this for the other card, for the first card that we made, I should say. So we are going to put that on with some multi-purpose liquid glue. And I already pre-stamped this because I decided after the fact to add the card to my video. So I took the circles that are meant to go with this card base and I stamped in balmy blue the wishing all the best, but over to the right hand side. Then I took my crushed curry ink pad and one of the stamps that has the smallest flower, there are two of them as I said earlier, and all I did, instead of masking or anything, I didn't want the stem, I just wanted the top. So you can just set it in your ink pad like that, so you're inking only the flower part, and then I stamped it. So I just wanted to show you how I did that. And for the inside, whoops, we'll leave that aside for now. For the inside, I'm going to grab my balmy blue ink pad again, and we're going to use that happy birthday from the circle sayings and stamp that. And then just like we did with the previous card, we're going to take our markers so that we can match this dandelion to the one that's on the front. Again, just inking that up with my marker, with my crushed curry. I love how quickly it comes together. And then taking the brush end of my old olive and doing the same thing with the stem. And just stamping it right here. Now for this card, instead of decorating an envelope, I used the envelopes from the kit since they match nicely. So I just used 3 of those. And we're going to put this one on, this die cut with some Stampin' Seal. A little more on there. And I moved it over to the right just a little bit. And this time I did use some dimensionals for the flower that goes on the front because I think that really adds a nice touch. So there are dimensionals that come with the kit, some large ones, but I'm going to use some smaller ones as well for the smaller sections. So I'm just using a couple of big ones, and then I've got my mini dimensionals because I want to make sure every part of the flower is held down and popped up. Take the backings off, and then we lay it out around the sentiment. Isn't that pretty? And actually I didn't use any bling on this one, but you could certainly, let's see what it looks like with some bling. Again, using the blue ones that come with the kit, since it seems like there are plenty. I think we'll just use the little ones this time. And we'll scatter them around. Oh, I do like that. I think I'll add those to that one as well. And that is it. That is card number 3. And so now let me bring in all 3 cards. And here are the other ones. And so there are the cards for today. So we used the card bases from 2 of the 3 different card bases. Actually, we used all 6 of them, but with those 6, I'm able to make 15 cards. So I think that's a win, and I still have 1 set of card bases that I can make 6 more cards with. So I hope you like my alternatives. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate you watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell to be notified when I post new videos. I have lots of other cards, some scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and techniques, beginner videos. So a lot there for you to see and hopefully enjoy. And remember that if you are interested in signing up under me as a demonstrator and getting the opportunity to get this wonderful matte for your desk and the accessories that go with it, just reach out to me and I would love to help you sign up. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.